So, kind of what's already been mentioned and we all know. So we have the general AI, we have a triangle basically. We have a general AI, we have, as we know, the Strait of Hormuz, and when it comes to energy security, we also go into the raw material crunch, right? So we have that. And where does it really stick? It starts with innovation, right? Sitting right in the middle. And that's where Israeli Energy Tech, and that's where we saw, just on that slide by Dror, it's ranked at number 3. So I'd love to bring up Roy Furman. He is the managing partner, Doral Energy Tech Ventures. Thank you, as you saw before, for being a partner. I appreciate it, and you can make your way up. From there, one of the new partners in Ignite the Spark, Roni Itzhak with SMA Solar. Thank you so much, and we look forward to a long relationship. I want to also invite up Igor Aranovich, Vice President Market Operations with Noga, Israel Independent System Operator. Nir Shadmi with CEO of Contel Smart Energy. And then we're also going to be bringing up our moderator, Liav Harel, former Senior Innovation Manager, SimPower.
Is this on? Not yet? Hear me? No? Yeah, this works? No? But you guys will have to hand over the mic. Can everyone hear me? Nope. I definitely can't shout. Now can everyone hear me? That's better. Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here at the opening panel. Welcome to the Energy Market Shift. On a personal level, I'm very excited to be here because this is a topic that I've been working on and thinking about for the past decade. If I can share my personal story, that 10 years ago I came back from a chapter in the UK, in London, where the topic of energy flexibility, how we shape energy markets, what type of energy mechanisms do we need to enable the renewable transition was a huge topic and talked about. And then when I came back to Israel, the key topic that was talked was how do we install more renewables, how do we build more megawatts, how do we meet our 10% renewable targets. Those were the topics talked in 2016. And I remember thinking that those were important topics, but we weren't spending enough time talking about what happens next. Because really the challenge is when you have a significant share of renewables in the system, the challenge becomes how do you integrate those into the system, and how do you manage a grid that is effective and reliable and resilient with a large share of renewables at its core. So presently, we're seeing a few really dynamic or key trends. They were mentioned before me. One of them is what happens when there's an abundance of renewables, curtailment, grid congestion, higher challenges in balancing the grid. We see an evolution in electricity demand, electrification, EVs, data centers, greater cooling needs in a global warming reality, and the storage boom. So storage coming in some cases even faster than regulation is shaped. So Europe and the US have been talking for 20 years about how to build these markets, and Israel is finally getting there. So the market is changing in even a much shorter time frame than other countries have had to deal with. And I think that it's clear to the room today, fast forward 10 years, when we talk about the energy market shift, it's not about how do we install more renewable megawatts. The question at the forefront is what are the solutions and what are the market mechanisms that we need to get those renewables online and to make an effective and resilient grid with renewables at its backbone. So with that, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker. Igor, can you, I think we're going to need another mic, or let's see if this one is working. Testing. Give it a go. Not yet. I'll quickly hand over then. Igor from Noga, the independent system operator. Can you, yes.
Yeah, all right.
Can you give us an overview of how Noga and the Israeli system operator sees the evolution of the Israeli market in the coming years? What are the key challenges that the Israeli grid will be facing, and what kind of markets, services, mechanisms are you building for us to build this future grid?
Yeah, morning, folks. So first of all, I am presenting Noga. We are running the Israeli electricity markets. Founded like close to 4.5 years after the reform in Israeli markets, and we're in charge to running the markets. And wholesale and retail, we are in charge for the switching of customers in Israel, and also One of our partners, colleagues sitting here, is dealing with development of the new markets. Some of them are dealing with ancillary service, flexibility, ability to adopt the new renewables. We're running to whatever 30-35% of renewables. Also, the AI data centers, it's some kind of challenge for flexibility for the system, and the storage. So currently, we're dealing with a whole bunch of these things. Some of them dealing from the pushing the ancillary service markets, and the first service is like fast frequency reports that we exposed close to a year and a half. Currently, we are close the regulation with the Electricity Authority, and we are going to run like for 3-4 pilots with different companies till the end of the year, and hopefully we'll start to begin to run this service, and since beginning of the next year, and also the co-optimization of the new MMS markets. It's also the whole all retails and wholesale player will be inside of it, and so we will co-optimize the energy ancillary services behind in order to FFR and also the AFRR, like low frequency control. We'll try to push into the storage like in the whole world, and I guess it will be the great value for the community. We're dealing currently also with the market prices, market clearing price, new market price calculations that we are bringing to the markets. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, the Electricity Authority also will be approved, and the challenges is also the real-time pricing. So also this will be give the big value for the electricity market. Okay.
Yep, thank you. So Igor mentioned ancillary services being developed, thinking about how we start to embed storage into the system. Let's let the second speaker today introduce himself and talk on this. So we have Nir from Contel Smart Energy. Can you briefly introduce yourself and Contel, what you guys do? And then also, could you share how your solutions are addressing these needs in the new energy markets that some of which Igor touched on that will be opening up?
Sure. Working? Okay. Hi. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Ignite the Spark, for the opportunity to be here and to practice our English, because it's not usual. Okay. So we at Contel Smart Energy, we sit on the control layer of the biggest and most complicated renewable energy sites here in Israel. We provide the power plant controller. We provide various systems. Among them are the power plant controller, the supervisory control and data acquisition system, and the energy management systems. Those systems are the systems who turn the energy that is being generated into a deliverable, dispatchable, and flexible energy that all of us are using, and also the system operators. We've delivered hundreds of utility scales projects in Israel. We have under the hood or under our system more than 3 gigawatts of renewable energy. And we have deep hands-on experience integrating with equipment provider, inverters, batteries, meters, sensors, and so on, plus our own hardware and software that we developed in-house for asset performance management and on-cloud and on-site cybersecurity. So we see this emerging shift in the market very closely because we are in the heart of these renewable energy sites. All of us know that renewable energy in Israel is only at about 17% out of the overall total energy that is being produced, and we are far away from reaching the target that the Israeli ministry has targeted of 30% by 2030. But it's clear that we need to build more, but we see a change in the market. It's not only constructing, it's not only building more sites, and the market now starting to think of not only how to build, but how to maximize the assets that we already have, okay? How to better use the assets. So that's the real shift that is happening in the market. It's not only selling energy, it's selling flexibility. The terms now changes from how many megawatt hour we can dispatch, it moves to how many megawatts we can supply on demand when the system operator needs more energy. So the solutions and the diversity of renewable energy, these are the tools that drives better investments or ROI, returns on investments, and more and better, longer and more efficient lifetime for the generation sites themselves. We see storage becoming a crucial, not only in Israel, actually Europe is a bit advanced than us, but as a crucial tool to help the system operator and the end users to be much more flexible. We don't see the constructions that is being built today are not only PV, all of the sites are either BESS, battery energy storage system standalone. We see BESS being added to an existing PV sites, okay? And obviously greenfield, new construction of PV plus storage. So this is one example of the change that is happening in the market. The second change that we see, another example that I can bring, relates to what Igor mentioned about the pilot that they are running on auxiliary services. First of all, congratulations, Igor and Noga, for finally implementing the market management system and allowing market participants to provide services to the market. So from talking from hands-on or from the ground, around 2 weeks ago, we completed internal tests as part of the pilot that Igor mentioned, supplying fast frequency response to the grid demand. This pilot was conducted, or the test for the pilot was conducted in one of the sites of our friends from Doral, also equipped with CATL batteries and SMA power conversion systems, and the results were amazing. We were able to reach a response time of 145 milliseconds to the change of the frequency in the grid from between the meter and the PCS, where the target that the system operator targeted was around 500 milliseconds. So the technology is there and is ready. These two examples that I presented are showing how the market is moving, not only from construction, running to construct more power generation sites, but again, using the ones we have to serve the market better.
Thank you. Thank you, Nir. That's an excellent example of there's a growing need for faster frequency response services with more renewables. It's coming from an alternative source, coming from batteries. Let's hear next from Roni, who will introduce SMA, maybe talk about the angle of how renewable generation can also contribute to growing needs coming from a high renewables grid. Introduce yourself, your company, but also can you share what your solutions address from this double angle? One is from the angle of the grid needing new alternative sources for resilience, but also from the asset owner perspective, from the solar field perspective.
Solar and storage, which is today even massively growing, more than PV. So good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ignite the Spark, for having me here in this panel. I'm Roni Yitzhak. I am the commercial lead in Israel for SMA Solar. SMA Solar, it's a German-based company, established 1981, very, very famous in the renewable market, having the best inverters in the world. Going to the panel and what you ask. So we are here in a panel that the subject is the energy market shift. And the market shift is going to have more and more renewable, and renewable today it's PV, and of course storage, BESS. What is the impact? What is the impact of transforming a grid to be more equipped with renewable energies? Igor mentioned here ancillary services. Ancillary services are practically part of the solution for a problem that is happening because of this transition. The transition of going to renewable have a huge impact on the grid, on the stability of the grid. And for this, we need to provide additional set skill to provide solutions. It's not only by generating energy, it's generating stability. And fast frequency response and artificial inertia and many other things under the title of ancillary services are the enablers of doing this transformation. We in SMA developed a full set skill that provide the full solution that the renewable energy facility will act and respond to the grid like a turbine. The impact, and I think you can improve it, Igor, is that practically the renewable source can participate actively stabilize the grid as all turbines would have done it. How it's done? It's done by artificial inertia. It's done by fast frequency response. It's done by communication system, which are very sophisticated. It's done by smart, sophisticated inverter that ties all these batteries and PV to the grid and act as an enabler to have more and more renewables in the grid. So for the developers and the IPPs, we can be the enabler to have more renewables in the grid. For the grid operator, we can be the solution of having very stable grid on top of having more and more renewable. So this is practically the energy market shift that we're dealing with as a very innovative inverter company.
Great. Exciting technologies already. Let's hear some more from Roy, coming from Doral New Energy Ventures. Am I saying it correctly? New Tech Ventures?
Energy Tech Ventures.
You have to say the name again.
The
so
Royal
that
Energy Tech Ventures.
I've butchered it. Can you share with us from an investor, from a tech investor perspective, what technologies are attracting you now in these new emerging markets? What is exciting you in this area? What do you see are the biggest opportunities with these new emerging and evolving markets?
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. Before answering that, I must say that, it's always tricky for me that we sit here on a beautiful venue, and at the same time, there are soldiers in the battlefield, so my prayer for here to everyone that will come back home safe, so we will be able to enjoy here and celebrate, energy tech and innovation. So what excites me the most is that we are in the very tipping point, and at the heart of this tipping point there is a triangle. On the one hand, there is the physical assets, the solar PV, the wiring, the transmission, the energy storage systems, the wind farms, and so on. On the second hand, there is the AI-enabled software that orchestrate, or should orchestrate, all of these energy flows. And the third, there's innovative business models that emerge due to all of that. And this creates quite an interesting opportunity if you merge all of these together. And to me, from investor point of view, and also probably from a startup point of view, the opportunity lies with the solutions that can actually integrate between all of these. Software by itself, as long as we need it and we use it, and as Doral, we use and leverage a lot of such tools, but without the actual integration to the actual assets, it's not good enough. And what we saw in the last few years in energy tech is that there are like amazing tech that has been developed, but somewhat missed the opportunity or missed the language or the understanding of how to integrate it into their physical world, into the real assets. So what excites me the most are the companies that can actually connect these dots and even be innovative in the way they approach the market in an hybrid approach. Not only a software play, because if we're going to analyze the pure play AI tools, to be honest, there are not that many success stories, at least not as of today. But the ones that I believe that we will see this in the future with more solutions, more digital solutions or digital approaches. For example, one of our companies that we invested in from Austria called Nobile Energy, they are building a fully new digital utility concept that based on derivative of the EU of setting up energy hubs. Energy hubs meaning the ability to geographically match generation and consumption on a geographical footprint, and people can share energy within these hubs. And these companies scale and grow dramatically, exponentially in the last year. They have more than 300 new hubs only in the last year established in Austria, growing into Germany and other countries. And this is where the magic happens, because they are becoming one of the largest utilities in the DACH region without owning the assets, but allowing new business models that people can share energy and reducing the energy cost by not needing to pay the transmission fees and so on. So these areas to me are quite exciting these days. And as a whole, I think that there is a massive opportunities because Our industry is just in the very, very, very beginning of its digital transformation. So there is plenty of room to innovate, from AI tools, more smart grid, from agentic AI, or more co-pilots that will be able to trade energy faster and to make faster decisions and to transmit energy faster. Cybersecurity solutions. Here, Israel is an empire in cybersecurity, so bring it on to the energy tech. Yeah, so.
I think there's a forum on that tomorrow as well. Thank you. Thank you for introducing some of the developments, some really exciting technologies. Maybe I can start with a follow-up question to you, Roy, and I think it will interest a lot of companies in the room today. When you're coming from a global investor perspective, what are some of the things that make you think, okay, this is a company I want to invest in, this is exciting me, this is something worth going at?
Yeah, so at Doral Tech, we've been proactively investing across the world. So we have 23 investments in our portfolio for the last 5 years. And we do a lot of deep tech investments. So in deep tech, we ask ourselves, is the team that we meet here, or how many teams in the world can actually do what this team is doing? Because we want to have a very high bar when we invest in startups. And sometimes, companies that will do only part or only optimization part of something like that, it's not good enough because we want a full solution. And we see that some of the companies that has been more successful in this field are the ones that have some hybrid approach of some dev code development plus tech-enabled development, and then they can introduce new business models. We talked about flexibility, and I do agree that flexibility is the name of the game these days, especially in Europe. I think here it will grow as well. We've been investing also in long-duration energy storage. So for example, long-duration energy storage may introduce a new capability to the market. Now think about it. We here on the, as the venture world, invest in long duration, which means multi-day or even weeks of storing energy, where the utility is only now get to introduce or get comfortable with a new technology called lithium-ion energy storage for 4 hours, 5 hours or 5 hours of storage. And we come and say, hey, look, this is okay, but for us it's an all news. We invest now in the long duration energy storage that can later on integrate with this intraday storage. Now imagine how the world would look like in a few years when we have these capabilities in an hybrid setting installed, what type of new models we can monetize. And we also care about companies that understand that there is a mismatch here, because they present this new innovative technology, whereas the industry, which is mostly conservative, are not fully there yet, because now they get to get used to what we as investors see as an old technology. So moving forward, we're pretty excited about long duration and these hybrid systems.
I think you really hit a point hit the nail on the head, right? Because you're saying there's this tango where the system needs certain things, and then it starts to make market shifts towards that, and then the technologies address that, but then sometimes the technologies move faster than markets are ready to adopt them. That's a good segue to another question I want to address to the whole panel, maybe to our technology guys first. So in some cases, the technology is already developing. In some cases, it might even already be there, but the markets aren't geared yet to harness them. What do you think are, even from your global perspectives, right? Because both Contel, both SMA, you guys are bringing some global perspective as well. What do you think are market conditions, regulatory frameworks, incentives that are needed to make these solutions viable? Maybe with a look at Israel, with some key learnings, or maybe things to avoid from what you've seen abroad. Wani or Nir, whoever wants to. I don't think that one works.
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah, you are right. The technology is not, that's the easy part. Okay, we know that technology and the brilliant mind that this ecosystem of Ignite the Spark and the brilliant minds in the room, the technology is there. The challenge today is the division between what the regulator sets for the market and what the markets needs to comply with. The rule of the regulator is to set the boundaries and to define how much energy is needed into the market, what supplementary services to offer, the safety, the cybersecurity, the stability. But within those boundaries, the regulator needs the market players to play, okay? For example, to take the operational decisions, to decide by themselves what sites to activate, which services to provide, when to charge a battery, when to discharge a battery, when to offer availability or reserves. If they will be let to do so, the aggregators and the asset owners, then they will do their best to maximize their assets, okay? We see today, for example, a term that is being used in Europe. The term is value stacking or revenue stacking. The same renewable energy site who has PV and storage uses the storage energy in several ways, and for example, in doing arbitrage, supplying supplementary services to the grid, and using the site revenue from the generation in several options. So the same asset owners can earn more money from the site itself, and it also makes the site, in terms of investments for the developer itself, much more financeable. It's easy to finance the projects. From the international experience, unfortunately saying, we are a bit behind in terms of ancillary services, okay? We need to adopt a more open market, as I said, that the regulator sets a clear product definition, transparent pricing that now the regulator is working on, so all of the market players will know what are the prices in the market, and the aggregators and the VPPs will be able to compete with all of their assets on the same grounds. This is something that is missing in the Israeli market, and I hope it will be changed in the near future.
Thanks. Moni, can you talk? And I want to make sure that we have some time for Igor to comment on this as well. And you mentioned something really important here, that it's also the business models for renewable assets are degrading. There's not just natural feed-in tariffs or PPAs anymore. They're evolving into having to optimize their assets, revenue stack. What do you want to add on that?
And exactly this point, I think we should, as the state of Israel here, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We should look about the world, look about the different incentives that we have today in UK, in Germany, in Australia, and we just need to adapt this regulation. This regulation provides the IPP the ability to earn more money, not only by generating energy, but by generating ancillary services, by helping the grid. I think that's what we should look for, at least. In addition, we should look about all the cybersecurity aspects, which is very massively. As a German company, European-based, of course, we have certification for cyber. Where Israel stands regarding it? Cybersecurity, cyber for energy services as well. It comes together.
Yeah, thanks. So first of all, I'm very glad that my colleagues and technology is there, and the pilots is there in 145 milliseconds. You know, it's up to 500 seconds. I'm not sure that we need to adopt all what's going on throughout the world. UK, Germany, you know, America, Australia, we have a lot of regulation. I guess we are a little bit a crazy country of regulation in energy, and currently we are trying to push the market to the ancillary services. So I guess it's not easy. Market price is going to be, hopefully, in next couple months, is a zero value and curtailment, and I guess it's a great value for storage and to implement storage and to adopt the renewables. It's first of all. Second one, I just want to say, as a colleague from EDF, 5 years ago, we ran the first AFRR in EDF power plant, okay, in Be'er Ora, and we have been the first time in the world that we are running. Currently, we are dealing with a curtailment with no prices. We are putting these facilities for 100 megawatts on LFC AFRR with no pricing, but we want to be there. So it's challenge to how to cope with the oldest regulation, oldest investors that put the money to the assets, and currently to expose them to the new markets and how they need to deal with it. It's a little bit tricky situation also when the market price we wanted to introduce. We see a lot of pressure from the investors, banks, and all these financial institutes that are, okay, you are going to invent the world, you are going to change, the reality, and the market price is there. So I guess, and what I wanted to add, in the perspective, we are implementing the new market management system, the first of kind in Israel. We're dealing with Siemens Energy in USA, and so we're trying to push by side on ancillary services also the real-time markets. It's real-time 10 minutes markets that we want to generate by side of real-time prices for energy, also the prices for ancillary services. And I guess it should be is a great value. So we understand the technology is there. We're trying to communicate with the market players how to send them the real-time signals and to control in real-time market the assets. Mostly for AFRR, it will be the first one, hopefully from our side. And say Contel, SMA, we are working for alongside and other companies here. And I guess it's pushing them together to these markets. It will be the great values. It's not your revenue coming from energy. Your revenue will coming also from additional services. And I guess the SFD, so contract for difference, it's coming to the storage and the values that we push the renewables and storage on the market to beat against the market, to be responsible for their forecast. So it will be a great value in the next couple of years.
Fantastic. You mentioned that AFR maybe will be the first one opening. Is this going to be a service tailored towards specific types of providers like storage or something like that? Or are we going to open up and be agnostic?
Yeah, we want to open it, say, from the beginning to the medium voltage facilities. It's like PV and storage. Mostly currently we have like potential of 700 megawatts. Hopefully it's be running for gigawatts. I guess we will need a couple hundred megawatts up, couple hundred megawatts down. And currently we are also develop the platform, like power exchange platform out of the market to run this. It's everybody can bid to this service. And so we are dealing with the challenge how to clear the market. What should be the price of the clearings of this service? So it's a very big challenge, but we are there, I guess. Hopefully, if everything is going fine with regulation, end of this year, we will start. And so I guess it will be great value for the Israeli market.
Very exciting. I think we're ready to have wrap-up closing questions. We took a look back 10 years. Here we are today. Where do you think, what is your short answers, just going around the board, in 10 years from today, we're sitting in the 2036 Energy Market Shift panel. What are we going to be talking about?
You're coming from the tech venture.
Yeah. So I do think that we will see new generation method for baseload power, which will shift the discussion dramatically again. Probably more SMRs, maybe fusion, hopefully, energy. I think with the long duration energy storage, we tag along with the intraday, so then we can have the full transition, like the holy grail of transition to renewables. I do hope that we will be able to celebrate here not $2 billion of investments divided by 255 startups that Dror been presented before, but unicorns, success stories. This industry really needs it at a global scale, by the way, not only here. Startups, I want you to be very sensitive. We demonstrated here in this panel that there is a new value that can be captured, financial value that can be captured, okay? Just you need to make sure when you are building whatever you're building, you are capturing the most of it, okay? And not the people that you serve or provide a service to. And this is something that I do want you to take with you when you think about your new startup.
If I take the topic that you mentioned and the advice that you gave to the
For you, and forget it, we will take it.
for the startups, I think the topic or the topic that we will discuss about in a decade from now will be how we moved from building power plants to how we trade the energy. And we talked about it in the last half an hour. This would be the topic, how to trade and how to earn money from the various technologies that are available for us.
I think that we will have less coal, less diesel, more renewable, and more energy security.
That's for last.
You know, it's a bigger challenge, you know, when it's to keep the system stable with 100% of renewables, no gas, for system and market operator is a huge challenge. So, and so I guess 10 years from here, we will be mostly daily hours will be whatever, hopefully no gas, okay, renewables, battery storage, whatever, and I guess more flexibility, but we hopefully will be from financial point of view of markets also in the hedging mechanism. In other, it will be a lot of aggregators who are dealing with us and not customer by customers. And I guess we need to know how to cope with AI. And AI is going to push like 100% in a couple milliseconds. I don't know, maybe it's not a dream, but a huge challenge. Thanks.
Music, gas, aggregators, sounds fantastic. Thank you so much to this wonderful panel. It was great opening this morning with you.